UN food head warns conditions worse than Arab Spring as inflation riots spread. So we talked about this earlier. We're saying this is where Arab Spring, the price of food that invoked the Arab Spring, look where we're at. And this is going to continue to go higher and higher. And that's the real underlying problem that markets are detecting. Food prices, food production's collapsing worldwide, right? Food prices are going up. So in certain parts of the world, famine is coming, and with it, social unrest. All right, so let's talk about the stock market again. We know what the underlying pattern is. We know the Pluto return. We know the Saturn Uranus. We know that the Barbo planetary cyclic index is moving towards a trough period into the fall of this year. So when we look at the stock markets, we can see the best and worst months for the stock market. And if you look at the FTSE 100, which is the top 100 companies in the London Stock Exchange, the MSCI World Index, which is the 1,000 largest large and mid-cap companies in the developed markets, the S&P 500, which is the top 500 American companies, which happens to have more value than all of these combined, and the Euro Stocks 50, an index of the top 50 blue chip stocks within the Eurozone region. So if you take all of them, you combine them together, and then you determine the level of frequency of growth and the difference from the mean, you can determine which months, breaking it down into months, which months when the stock market is right, which months are best for the stock market. So I looked at this, and then I said, all right, let's take a look what the astrology shows. And we could see here the Dow Jones Industrial Index from 1896 to 2022 in the sun geocentric position. So this is the position of the sun through the zodiac relative to the composite price movements of the stock market. So, right, what do we first notice here? We note here that we see a high here in April, right? So the stock market, so if we look at the stock market, this would be March, right? This is March, and then we see late March, we see into April, the stock market peaks. So the stock market rally peaks around April 16th, around April 16th. That's when the market peaks, and then it declines until the time of the solstice here. The time of the solstice, a few degrees, actually within a few 4 days after the solstice, which would be around June 27th, June 28th. So we see a peak here, April 16th. We see it here at the time of the solstice into the last week of June. It hits, right? It bottoms out. And then we have a bit of a summer rally, and then the stock market peaks here at 12 Virgo, and then begins to decline until it hits a bottom here at 5 Scorpio. So we see it, right? We see in the summer and into the fall, the stock market really take a massive hit. Now I'll show you the dates in a moment. Then, right, the stock market stays throughout September, October, into early November, and then it starts moving up, right? And then it goes into this rally. It starts this rally on December 15th here, and it peaks at 16 Capricorn on January 6th. And then it begins this decline again, right? Begins that decline all the way until it's 7 Pisces. So here's the 7 Pisces. 7 Pisces is February 26th. So we can see the approximate dates. Now, knowing what's really going on, looking at the Saturn Uranus alignment and combining that with what's happening with the markets, we can project out when we're likely to see massive market correction and crash for the S&P 500. And that would also correlate with all the others, because whatever happens in the S&P 500, the other markets very much reflect it. Because you have to keep in mind that the top 8 companies, or is it the top 10? Either top 8, top 10 companies on the S&P 500 have more value than the country of Germany. So the total market capitalization of Germany is equivalent to the top 10 companies on the S&P 500. So that's how much value we're talking about. So the S&P 500, right? June 27th, we see the sun hit 4 to 5 degrees here of Cancer, and that would indicate this low right here. So that's that low. Now, so we could see the S&P go into a full-blown bear market around that time. And what's interesting, when on June 27, 2022, Uranus right on the midheaven at the time the stock market begins to trade. So it'll be very interesting to watch that. And then, right, so we could see the markets really take a big, right, in other words, right, they begin to go in full correction mode, meaning 20% down or more. And then within the first or second week of July, we could see the Federal Reserve and the US government basically announce we're in a recession. So my prediction is recession by July, right? Markets go into full correction, and then they announce a recession. Then we have like these intermittent bull markets within a larger bear market. And then I'm seeing a projected crash. And this is for September 28th, 2022, when the sun hits 5 Libra. And we could see that's here, 5 Libra right here. And that means that crash will continue well into October, into November. So that crash could be the bigger crash. I mean, certainly. So this correction is more like 20, possibly, a little over 20% from where we are now, or 20% plus, like 25% between January 1st and June 27th. We could see a significant downside. So we're looking at more of this crash here. And there's a crash coming. There's no doubt. I mean, the question is, we'll have to watch. The question is, how much of this crash is it going to be? It's going to be 50%, 40%, 70%. A lot of it has to do with what we see happen here in June, right after the solstice.
To watch the full presentation and more like this on geopolitics, the economy, and world events from an archetypal and mundane astrological perspective, join the Global Transformation Astrology membership. Go to gta.williamstickevers.com. Become a GTA member today.